Hey guys, what's up? It's JRCuber, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing the GAN 354M, a new smaller 3x3 from GAN that has some pretty cool new hardware. The cube currently only comes in stickerless, which is an interesting choice from GAN since most of their past cubes have only been in black or white. Unlike what I said in my unboxing, this isn't the first stickerless 3x3 from GAN, but it's been a long time since they've made one. Luckily though, the stickerless shades are about as good as they get. They're nice and vibrant without appearing too similar. The plastic is also completely glossy, so it doesn't have any of the slipping problems from the GAN 2x2s in the past. Since this is a GAN puzzle, you know the price is going to be pretty high up there, and this cube comes in at $40. So not as bad as the new 356X, but also definitely not cheap. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the new features of this puzzle, and of course we'll also look at performance. So the first new thing with this cube is the updated GES nuts. GAN got rid of the three strongest options, red, orange, and clear, and just stuck with yellow, green, blue, and purple. The cube comes with the green nuts installed, but I opted to switch to the yellow nuts for this review since the green nuts make the cube too unstable and floppy for me. I actually haven't tried the blue and purple nuts just because I already know how they feel in the SM, and based on how loose the green nuts feel in this cube, I think the blue and purple nuts would just make the cube way too unstable. I definitely would have preferred to see something like the clear GES included instead of maybe like purple, but I definitely understand why they chose those four colors to stick with. If you guys remember the straw poll I did all the way back in my Air SM review, yellow, green, purple, and blue were the most used colors. Overall though, the yellow GES suits my needs for this cube pretty well, so I'm happy with that. Another new change to this puzzle is the exposed magnet capsules, which as you can see are yellow in color on the edge and clear on the corners. Now these aren't interchangeable like they are on the 356X, but it seems to me like this cube was more of just a test to make sure it would work before they fully implemented the replaceable magnet system in the X. So in this cube specifically, it seems to be really nothing more than an aesthetic choice. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the updated design from the Air SM. So let's go ahead and take a look first at the edge piece. The overall shape looks to be pretty much identical between the two cubes. The only noticeable difference I can see besides the exposed magnet is that the honeycomb pattern on the 354 is a little bit tighter, so the gaps aren't quite as large and it covers more of the actual piece. The edge base also features a clip system instead of a screw, which I'm sure makes the cube a little lighter. For the corners, the overall shape remains the same, but the honeycombing covers the entire piece this time, including the corner base, which again connects to the rest of the piece with a clip system rather than a screw. And that really just about does it for the major differences between this cube and the SM. Of course, the 354 is also 2mm smaller, making this cube geared more towards one-handed solving, but as a two-handed cube, it's still very proficient. So let's go ahead and get on to performance. So the turning of the 354M is incredibly fast and also very crunchy as well. It's not really all that smooth, especially when compared to the SM and the ridiculously smooth 356X. In my unboxing, I said that the cube did have that signature soft GAN feel, but after switching to the yellow GES and breaking in the lube, I found that to not really be the case. I still really like the feel, it's very satisfying to turn and it feels really responsive and snappy, but it's definitely not the same soft feeling you get on the SM. The plastic feels very hard and rigid when compared to other GAN cubes, and I can even tell that in the sound of the puzzle, as it's a slightly higher pitched, rougher sound than the SM and 356X. Changing the GES definitely does affect the performance of the puzzle as well. I actually really didn't like solving with this cube all that much with the green GES installed, as the cube was just way too unstable and fast, even with strong magnets. So when I switched to the yellow GES, I was really surprised by how snappy the corner cutting suddenly was, and I appreciated that the cube was a bit slower as well, which really helped with control. I did have to loosen the tensions up a bit from where they were at when the green nuts were installed, so they're actually quite loose now, and while that does make for a very fast yet controllable puzzle, I have actually had a few pops and a decent amount of corner twists, so it's not perfect, which is a little bit frustrating for me because I think that neither the green or the yellow nuts are really perfect for this cube. And like I said, I know the other two would just make the cube way too loose. Overall though, I definitely prefer yellow to green, and I will be keeping the yellow GES inside the cube. And it's really close to being a perfect fit. It's like 90%, but it's just not fully there. I feel myself sometimes struggling to perform algorithms smoothly with this cube. Like, it's kind of hard to be consistent with it. And I think the size may have something to do with this as well. This is something that JPerm touched on in his review, which I thought was really smart. Basically, your fingers have to travel less distance to make a turn on a smaller puzzle. And because this cube is so fast, it can make it harder to turn accurately. So if you're coming to this cube from having used bigger cubes in the past, just keep that in mind. It also really doesn't help that I have very large hands, which brings me to another thing that I don't really like about this cube, and that is just how the cube physically feels in my hands. The cube just to me feels too sharp, like the outside edges aren't rounded enough. It's a considerable difference from the quite bubbly outward feeling that other GAN cubes have had. Another thing too that the cubologist pointed out was that the edges and corners don't perfectly match up on this puzzle. They're a little bit off, and it just makes the whole cube feel uneven. So this, paired with the rough return, just gives the whole cube a very harsh, sharp quality to it, which feels to me very unlike the SM, which feels so soft and bubbly. Now, I'm sure to a lot of you, this stuff seems really nitpicky, and it definitely is, but it's a lot of these little things about a cube that can really add up to change your perception about whether or not you really like solving with it. So I figured it was worth pointing out. Overall though, the raw performance of this cube is really incredible. I don't want to downplay it. This is a really fast, well-performing puzzle. It's definitely one of the best from GAN. I do think it's better than the SM. I definitely like it more overall, but there are still some aspects from the SM that I do prefer over this cube. And I feel like the 356X really combines the best from both puzzles. And I think if the 356X just didn't exist right now, this cube would be my main. But just because I've had the X sitting next to me on my desk the whole time I've been reviewing this cube, I just can't help but feel that the 354 was almost like a prototype for the X, which to me feels like much more of a finished product. But I'll talk more about all that stuff in the full review of the 356X, which will be coming shortly. So those are my thoughts on the GAN 354M. Basically, the TLDR is that the actual raw turning power and performance is really unbelievably good, but there are just a lot of little problems that add up to this cube not feeling totally complete, which is where the 356X really comes in and shines, but like I said, I'll talk about that later. The cube still has the price advantage over the X as it's over $20 cheaper. And like I said, it's still really good. I do prefer it over the SM. So if you want a smaller cube that has fantastic performance, you can get this one. It's really great. The link will be down in the description below. Thanks, of course, to The Cubicle for sending me this cube for free to review and also for sponsoring the video. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like button, turn notifications, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.